Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 11 session. Is my voice is audible? Is it audible?
Yes, audible, ma'am.
I will share my screen. Please let me know once it is visible.
Yes, visible, ma'am.
Please others respond in chat. Are you able to see the notes properly? Should I need to increase the size? Font size? At least you should answer for these questions. Please be active in the class. If possible, everyone respond to this. Are you able to see the screen? You people just joined and not listening, is it? That's why I'm not seeing more messages. Still in Sunday mode. It's already Monday. Okay, I will increase font size. Yes, I think now you people are active. Let's get back. What we discussed last time in the last class, Friday's class, day 10 session. Please answer, at least if you don't know any answers, right? You can see my notepad where I've opened notes. You can just say that one only. If you can't do that also, then only God can help you. What we discussed last time, it's conditional statements, and under conditional statements, what are all the things we discussed? Like if else, switch, ternary. Okay, when we should go for if else and switch? Like when we should go for if and when we should go for switch? Can anybody say in the class? When we should go for if else and when we should go for switch? Switch you have to choose when there are multiple options. For example, your MCQ questions. It will be having ABCD options, right? 4 options will be there. At that time, it will be like you can switch the answers, and case will be ABCD. It's like that. And if it is if else mostly we can go for these kind of validations where we will be checking whether bank account has a sufficient balance, whether user can do this operation, whether they can do that. Then in that case we should use if conditions. And when we have to choose between multiple options, then we should go for switch. Is that clear? And we do have ternary operator. Ternary operator is similar to what we have seen in if else only. So with if else, the condition this is the syntax, right? First we have to add if, and then inside that we have to put condition. If that condition is valid, then it will go here. If the condition is true, then it will go here. Otherwise it will go to the else part. So same thing we can achieve it using ternary operator. It is like this. Condition we will put it here and we will check whether it is true or false. If it is true, then we will execute statements here. Otherwise we will execute false statements over here. But it would be in single line. Okay. And always remember, if the condition is so simple, you can, it is up to you, you can use if else block also instead of ternary operator. And if you want to go for ternary operator, make sure that the condition is very simple. Even though if you have multiple conditions, you can use ternary operator, but it will unnecessarily confuse other colleagues. Okay, so if the condition is very simple, then you can go for ternary operator, so that you can execute the same statement in one line. Okay, is that clear? When we should go for ternary operator and when we should go for if else? And then we talked about logical operators. If you want to combine multiple conditions, then at that time logical operators will be used. Okay, for example, we have taken a bank example where first we will check whether he has a sufficient balance, and before checking whether the account has sufficient balance, we should check whether the account itself is valid. What if they gave another different invalid account? So first we have to see whether the account is valid. Then we should check whether he has a sufficient balance, whether that account has a sufficient balance. So in that case, we should combine these two conditions, condition 1 and condition 2. For example, it is like this: condition 1 and condition 2. Let us I'm giving a simple example. First we will check whether the account is valid, and then we are checking whether the account has sufficient balance. It is like that. In the second case, it is OR operator. If any one of the condition is true, then we should execute the if statement. Otherwise it should be else condition. Is it clear? Any doubts on and or? Not operator, it is like reverse of it. For example, just check. See, we are checking the bank account balance, right? Then only we are doing some operations. For example, deducting some amount from the account. What if we just want to check the bank account balance, and we should give some warning message or error message saying you don't have sufficient balance? Then what we can do is, first we will check whether he has a sufficient balance. If it is true, then we need not to print anything. If it is false only, we have to print some error message, right? And at that time, what we will be doing is, we will negate that condition. If the, so first we will check whether he has a sufficient bank account balance. If it is true, then we need not to do anything. If it is false, how to do false condition? If you ask me, just add this. Now, if then print error message, and here it is like condition 1 or condition 2. Okay, for example, for condition this one, or maybe so there will be if you consider some companies, right, there will be different branches to that. Okay, for example, in Bangalore also, if you take Infosys example, in Bangalore also Infosys is there, and in Hyderabad also Infosys is there. Okay, now my requirement is I have to check whether the given ID is given employee ID. You are all students, right? For that, like you will be having student ID. Like that, we will be having our employee IDs. What is my requirement is, first I have to check whether is working in Infosys or not. In that case, if I just check only in Bangalore location, it is not enough. I should check in another location as well, Hyderabad. Then only I can conclude whether is an employee of Infosys. So for that, what I will be doing is, first I will check whether it's a Bangalore employee. If it is true, then fine, is part of Infosys. Otherwise, what I will be doing is, I will not stop there. Next, I will check whether it's a Hyderabad employee. If it is true, then if condition will be executed, and if both are wrong, both are not true, then else condition will be executed. Is that clear? When to use what? Is that clear? And then we discussed about true and false values. These things are false values: false, empty string, undefined, null, zero, or false values. And empty array, empty object, array and object, and string having some value, some number, and true boolean true values are true values. Always remember, empty array and empty object is also true values only. If you just check if it is an empty object, and if you just check whether object is true, if object if you put, it would be always true. Okay, even though it is not having any properties and behaviors. Is that clear? You should never get confused with these two things. Even empty array and empty object is also true values only. And then we discussed about iterational statements. Like other languages, we do have for loop here, while loop, do while loop, and these two things are extra. For in loop, we will use for object, and for of loop, we will use for array. And for loop, if we want to execute block of code number of times, then we will be using for loop. And this is the syntax. This part is initialization part, and then here we will do the conditional check. And here we will do increment or decrement operation. Increment can be, we can increment by 1, or we can increment by 2, 3, like that also. That option is also available. And this loop will be executed as long as this condition is valid. Similarly, we have while loop. As long as the condition is true, it will perform some operations. Here it is kind of fixed number of iterations. If it is 10 means till 10 it will go. But in while loop, based on the condition, if the condition is true, till that point, this while loop will be executed. And do while loop is similar to while loop. But here main thing is, first we will execute the operation and then we will check for the condition. Any doubts? Any doubts? And then we discussed about for in loop. For in loop will be used for object iteration. For example, in the object, if I don't know the name, like properties, what are all the properties available, using for in loop, I can achieve that. Okay. What will be happening is, every time when I'm iterating, first time, first property will come, second time, second one, third time, third one, and fourth one, fourth time, fourth one. And it would be executed as long as this object has some more properties. If we have 10 properties, then it would be executed 10 times. Similarly, for iterating over array, we will be using for of loop. For the first time, it would be having index 0 value, and it would be like this only. First time this one, second time 20, third time 30. And it would be executed like array length. If the array length is 10, it would be executed 10 times. So as part of arrays, I have given some of the important methods which we will be using. It's an advanced concept, but it would be very helpful when you do the actual development. Even without these methods also, you can achieve like you can achieve whatever it is possible with these functions, whatever we have learned already. But if you know this methods, it would be very helpful. It is advanced concept, and if you want to go through that, you can do it. Otherwise, it is not required. It is optional learning. Is that clear? And then we discussed very important concept called DOM, which will enable us to add the dynamic content. And it is the interface between JavaScript and browser. What is DOM? If I ask you, all HTML elements will be created as what? Browser will create. What browser will create for all HTML elements that we will be creating? Yes, it will create nodes. It will create nodes. For example, HTML is one node. HTML is one node. For HTML, what are the children nodes? What are the children nodes are available for HTML node? It is head and body. Similarly, for head and body, whatever we will be adding, those will become children of head and body. Okay, and for every node, it would be treated as object. The way we can manipulate object in JavaScript, similarly, since even elements like h1 tag, p tag, div tag, or objects, right? So with objects, whatever operations are available, same thing we can do it for elements as well. Is it clear? And if we want to write something on a web page, what function we will be using? What function we will be using? It's right over here. Right here. It is right here. If we want to write something on in the web page, what console.log will do? What console.log will do? Yes, it will write it in console. And what document write will do? What document.write will do? It will write it in web page or page. Always remember, if you just do console.log, it is for your reference only. It will not print anything. It is just for your debugging purpose. If you want to check whether this variable is being set properly or not, at that time you will be using console.log. And document.write, it will write it in the web page. Okay. Did you get the difference between console.log and document.write? Yes or no? We'll quickly get started with today's sessions then. Okay, most of them are saying yes. Okay, I will close this notes. I will create simple HTML for showing the document.write once again. Because I want to add some note points here. That's why. So here I will create script tag. And this is internal script. So internal scripting inside a script tag only, I will be writing some code. Okay. What I will do is I will write document.write. I will just say, this is my heading 1. Okay. And if you see now, let's run this file. See, it got printed. And I will print one more line. Heading 2, I will say. You can see my VS Code editor, right? Please respond. Yes, okay. See, there is no line here. We just added it and it is printing side by side. If we want to print, like if you are aware of Java, we will use what system.out.print, and if we do that, then it will print it in the same line. Okay. And if you want to print it in the next line, you can do println system.out.println. Here, one more thing I can do. If I add br tag, tell me what will happen. It will not print anything because we are inside script tag. It should be only JavaScript coding only. If we add br tag inside body tag, it will work. Okay, not in the script tag. What I can do is I can do println here also. It should print it. Why it is not printing? One second. Let me see why it is not. Should print actually. Why it is not printing? It should print it in the next document. Let me check this, why it is not printing. No, it is in Java, it is println, and in JavaScript, it is println only. It should print it. Let me check why it is not happening. When I will be giving some break later, that time I will check and let you know. Now we'll just proceed with the next topics. Let's not waste our time now. We do have other ways to achieve the same thing. We'll come back to this one later. Is that fine? You might have noticed, right? Whenever you submit something, you will get the success message saying you have submitted the form successfully. Those kind of messages. For example, after placing the order, you will get a message saying order placed successfully and all, right? So these kind of pop-ups, or this one we will call it as pop-ups. It will pop up something on top of the screen, and those thing is possible with JavaScript also. There are multiple ways, and we'll go by one. First one is alert pop-up. First one is alert pop-up. Okay, if the if we want to alert the user regarding some change on the web page. For example, as I said, if the form has been submitted successfully, and if you're trying to save the image, right, you might get a notification saying image saved successfully. For this kind of pop-ups, we will be using alert. Let's add some alert statements. I'll say pop-up dot html file, and I will not write anything here. I will just I will create new folder called JavaScript, and inside JavaScript, I will create popup.js. Okay. And here what we have to do, we just have to include this JavaScript file here. How to do that? Script, and which is the attribute? What is the attribute which I have to set? What is the attribute? It is source, correct. So here I should provide the path. Now I will save it. What I will do is, syntax is very simple. It is alert, your form saved successfully. It will just give this information. That's it. Nothing else. Let me run this. See, your form saved successfully. And if I change, if I give different alert now, after this one, if I give different alert, your image got saved. And also not only for the successful response, even if it is error also. Some error occurred. You might have noticed all this information, right? So your form saved successfully, and then your image got saved, and then some error occurred. Okay. Is that clear why we will use alert? Alert is mainly for giving some information to the user. Whenever there are some changes, we should not give these kind of pop-ups. As of now, I'm not doing any operations. What I will do is, I will create 3 buttons over here. For creating buttons, I will be using Bootstrap. Which website I will be using for Bootstrap? What we have to do? First, we have to go to getbootstrap.com, and then in the docs, go to docs and check for what I need: buttons. Buttons. Okay. And there are different buttons over here. What I will do is, I will create some primary button only. 3 buttons I will create. I have not this is just for the example I'm saying. I will say here save form. I will say here, I will say save image. And I will say update profile information. Now tell me whether the Bootstrap classes, whatever I have applied here, whether it will work or not. You should tell me quickly. Yes, it will not work. See, it is still taking the old HTML thing. Why, if you ask me? I have not included whatever is required. What is that? We should import it. We should import it before we are using that. So first I will copy the, and as I said, Bootstrap uses what are all the things? It uses CSS and JavaScript. So we should include both CSS. CSS can be included using what? Link tag. And then we should include JavaScript as well. JavaScript will be included using script tag. And always it is suggested to use JavaScript before body tag ends. Now I will save it. Let's see it now. See, it is working. So in real time, what will happen is, you will click on this form. As of now, when you click on it, nothing is happening, because in the JavaScript, we are not handling it. On click of this, what should happen is, I will show you. See, user click on button. Okay. See, for saving profile. What JavaScript will do is, JavaScripts will listen to button click. Whenever there is a button click, always JavaScript should be listening to that. Okay. And once it is done, once it is clicked, it should call backend system to update the profile. Okay. It will call it and it will wait for backend response. What is this waiting period, if you ask me? For example, you are storing something in the database, right? You're storing something in the database that will take some time. Do you agree? It will take some time, right? Do you agree? It will not happen immediately because it is a your client side system is different system and backend system is different system and database is different system. I do agree that it would be like in fraction of second, within milliseconds it will happen, but that millisecond also count in the IT industry when you are developing something. So it will take some time. So what JavaScript will do is it will request for the response. It will send the request and wait for the response. And it would be keep on waiting until it will get some response. If it is success response, it will give success message. And if it is failure response, it will give failure message. I will be covering how JavaScript can listen to this button click. As soon as we click on this, right, it should give that form saved successful message and all. That we'll see later. As far as till now, what I have taught us, just remember, if you want to give some alert messages, then you should make use of alert pop-up. And this is the syntax. Any doubts? Okay, and it is giving this, it's enough. Fine. And next one is, say for example, you're doing some delete operation. You are doing some delete operation and you are doing delete from the database. Just assume if you delete it in your database, if you delete in your say from your laptop, you're doing shift delete. Shift delete means permanent delete. Okay, when you're doing permanent delete, you will get a pop-up saying whether you want it would be permanently deleted, whether you want to continue. That pop-up will come, right? Because that will avoid accident delete. What if you just by mistake you clicked on shift delete and without confirmation, if it deletes everything, then it would be very difficult, right? Because you can't take the backup also, because it won't be in the recycle bin. It would be permanently deleted. You might have seen that pop up, right? It will give are you sure you want to delete? I can show this problem to you. See, I have this pic here. Are you able to see? And now I'm doing shift delete. See, it is giving this, right? Are you sure you want to permanently delete this file? We can choose yes or no. If we click on yes, then it will be deleted. And if we click on no, it will stay over here. It will avoid accident deleting. For example, if I by mistake, if I click on shift delete also, it will give this warning whether you want to really delete. So this kind of things is required, right? How we can achieve it in JavaScript, if you ask me, using confirm pop-up. I will copy the same thing. Are you sure you want to permanently delete this file? What I will do is I will add the same thing in the console as well. So it is confirm pop-up. Are you sure you want to delete this file? And if we click on OK, then it would be yes. I will say if it is confirmed, I will say alert. I will alert the user saying it has been deleted. Else I can say it has not been it has not been deleted. It has not deleted. That's it. Now we'll see. What I will do is, see, it is giving this. Are you sure you want to delete this file? And here I can say okay or cancel. See, if I say okay, then it will say you. What I will do is I will just comment other things. Okay, I will comment other things. See, are you sure you want to delete this file? I'll click on OK. See, it has been deleted. Okay. And if I refresh it once again, and now if I cancel it, then it has not deleted. So if we click on OK, then the response will be for true. And if we click on cancel, then the response will be false. Is that clear? And you can see it over here. If it is confirm pop-up, then you will get two options. Either you can there will be okay option and cancel option. There you can choose between these two options. And if it is alert, it is just a information. So that's why there will be only okay button. It is kind of information. Information alert is kind of information, and confirm is like when you want to get the confirmation from the user. Is that clear? When to use what? Is that clear? Is that clear? Now you understood about these two pop-ups, right? There is one more pop-up called prompt pop-up. When do you use prompt pop-up? If you ask me, if you want to get some input from the user, then you should go for prompt pop-up. You can get it from input also. That also I agree. But if you want to get the input from the pop-up, I'm saying pop-up is, it is not part of this web page. There will, this extra pop-up will appear, extra dialog will appear, and there if you want to, if you want the user to input something, then you should go for prompt pop-up. Okay, here what I will say is, and I will store the result. We will get it from prompt using this variable called result. Okay, I will say prompt, I will say enter your name, and whatever user enters from this, it would be stored over here in the result variable. I will print, I will alert result. Okay, we'll try this out. What happened? I will just see. It is asking for enter your name, and here we can input something. I will say Bhavya, and then if I click on OK, it will print this. And now what I will do is I will not print anything because user is not interested in getting something. I mean, inputting something. They will click on cancel. At that time, the value is what? Empty value is null. Is that clear? Is that clear? See, in other websites also you'll be seeing this. They don't use like JavaScript prompts. They will be using some customized one. Since you can see this over here, it is very plain. It is saying this one localhost is saying enter your name like that. It is very plain. That's why what other like websites, I mean real time websites will be doing is they will be using their own customized dialogue instead of it. Okay, I'll just uncomment these things. And next, these things you should just remember. When you want to just give some information, go for alert. When you want to get confirmation, then use confirm. And prompt is in the dialogue. In the dialogue, if you want user input, in the dialogue, if you want user input, then go for prompt. Okay, is that clear? Yeah, one person is asking why we use prompt. As I said, in the dialogue, if you want to get the user input, see, this is dialogue, separate dialogue is there. Here, if you want to get some user input, then we will go for prompt. Okay. Now, next topic, whatever I will be covering is very important. Try to understand more. Without these topics, you can't write any JavaScript code. If it is, so these things are very, very important. First, tell me, I said DOM will, browser will create objects, right? And with that object only, we can manipulate it. Is that correct? What I will do is, I will say, I will create a new file called access elements .html. And in the JavaScript also, I will create the same file with the same name, but the extension is different, JavaScript. What I'll do is I will create a simple HTML file, and here I will just include it. Okay. See, I was saying DOM will be treated as objects, and then only we can manipulate it. For example, I will create one object here, and I will create one object here. Now I will say it is Bhavya. Okay. And then I will add some more objects, object properties, and say qualification. I'll say degree. Age, I will say 16. I know it is not my age. Okay. And once we get this object, we can add, we can update it. We can update it. I'll say Sachin. We can update it. Okay. And also we can create new object property itself. For example, what I can add, favorite color. I'll simply say red. Okay, we can add it. So it should be equal. So these kind of manipulations are possible. And now I will print console.log object. Now we'll see. I will close this one, and then I will run. Oh, sorry. Open with sorry. HTML file we have to run. Instead of this, I can do document write as well. We'll try. It will create that. Okay. As of now, we'll try it over here in the console.log only. Next time, what I will do is I will tell you a way how we can print the object in using document write only. Okay. See, it got updated. Name you can see here, and also favorite color got added. So now I have an element here. Div. I will add both ID selector over here. ID is equal to my div and class. My div class. Here I will say my div ID. Okay. And here I will say heading 1. Okay. Now it got printed. Tell me, I'm in JavaScript file now. I'm in JavaScript file now, and my element is over here. And I told element is an object. Browser will create a object for this element also. It is an element, right? So browser will create an object for this. How can I get this object over here so that we can do the manipulation? Here I am declaring a object here itself. That's why I can update it. But before doing any manipulation, first I have to get this object, right? This element object. Then only I can do some operation over here, right? Right. For example, if I just say I have a div element, right? So if I just say I want div element here, then it would say uncount reference error. Div is not defined. So first I have to get this element. First I have to get this element. Then only I can do some operations over here. Everyone agree? Everyone agree? Please say yes or no. First I have to get the element in the JavaScript. First we have to get it in the JavaScript, and then only we can use it. Right? So first, how can we get these elements? If you ask me, there are multiple ways in JavaScript. There are multiple ways in JavaScript. We'll go one by one. Okay. First one is get element by ID. Get element by ID. Okay. How to get the element by ID? If you ask me, syntax is I will create one variable. I will say div element, and I have to get the variable here, right? So it's document. So DOM object is referred by document, and document dot get element by ID. And what is the ID? My div ID. My div ID. Okay. And now if I print it, so this is the syntax. Now if I go and check, it is printing null. Why it is printing null? We'll try to see. One second. Please give me some time. Okay. Can anybody explain me why it is happening? At least can anybody say why it is happening? It was problem with my code, of course. It is a problem with my code, of course. Yes, I will explain it over here. You all agree that HTML will run line by line, right? First, it is HTML tag, then head, then in metadata, meta, and then title, and then script. So at this line number 8, whether 11 is available, 11 is available. Line number, in the line number 11 only I am creating a div, right? Whether it is available there, line number 11, no, right? That is the issue. So always it is preferred to use script before body tag ends. Okay. Now if I go and check, see, it is having the value. It is pointing to this div. Agree? So it is printing. So once we get this object reference, then we can do whatever we want. Whatever we want. So for this property, if I update name, then it will work, right? So for this element also, there will be some properties which we have to remember. Like we will remember tag attributes, right? Like that, we should remember some properties like element properties that would help us to manipulate the values, style, anything. So always remember few properties, which I will be explaining today. Now we got the reference. Then we can do whatever we want. Now, if I want to change the heading 1, so this part, see, this is the open tag, and then this is the closing tag, right? Opening tag and closing tag is there, and in between we do have this heading 1, right? This part is inner.html part. Okay. For example, what I'll do is I'll print it over here. You can observe it is dot inner HTML. And if I go and check now, you can see here it is having heading 1 as a value. Now we have a name that is Bhavya. In order to update that one, we will set object.name as Sachin, right? Similarly, for element also, if we want to update, we can do this way. Heading has been changed. What I will do is, I'll go back and check now. You can see here it has been changed. Initially it was heading 1 and now we change the value. This is how we can change the content. Any doubts? Any doubts? And always remember, get element by ID will give one object. Okay? Is that clear? So some people are asking, explain it one more time. Yes, in order to do the object manipulation, first we have to get this element object. This element we should get it in the JavaScript. For that, first option is get element by ID. Here I am passing the ID attribute value. And then once we get this, there will be multiple attributes using which we can change the value. First one is dot inner HTML. Inner HTML points to the content. This content, whatever is there, this is the inner HTML part. Okay. And once you change this one, it would automatically change. You are assigning the element dot inner HTML as heading has been changed. So it is taking that value. Okay. And this is one way. There is another way also. So what I'll do is I will create one more div. Sorry. Today I'm not feeling well because yesterday weekends I was out of station. That's why I have a throat infection. That's why it is not that great. So please bear with me. What I'll do is I'll change this one. So here I will say heading 2. And next way is using inner content. There's one more property called inner content. Using that one also, you can change the value. Sorry, it is text content. Text content property, I'll say. Now in the HTML, it is heading 2, right? Now if you go and check, it would be text content property. If I don't add this line, then it would be heading 2. Is that clear? Using text content also, we can change the value. We can change the value. And now what I'll do is, I'll create one more. I'll say, I'll change the IDs and also class, and I'll say heading 3. Okay, heading 3. Now what I want is, instead of displaying the text like this, I want to add heading tag dynamically. Dynamically means from the JavaScript. Okay, inside div only, I want to add a heading tag, something like this. H1 heading 3. I will say updated also, so that you will be clear. Okay, this is my requirement. I will just comment it out. I'll just uncomment. We'll see what is my requirement. See, this is how I wanted. Now I will comment this one out. I will comment this one. Now it is not displaying. Same thing. I will do it from access elements.js. Same thing I will do it from here. Okay, I will say my ID 2, and I will say I need H1 heading also, right? What I'll do, H1. This is what I want, right? I'll just copy this one, and I will put it over here. I will copy this one and I will put it over here. So my expectation is, it should add H1 tag inside div tag, and it should show this content. Now if you go and check, see, this is how it is treating. It is treating this one as a normal text. Normal text. This is, I don't require this one. What I require is, it should consider this one as a HTML. It should consider this one as HTML. In that case, what we can do is, I will add one more div tag now. Let's say 3 and 4. Sorry, 3. I'll say 4. Since it is text content, it is treating this one as a string. Okay. Since it is text content, it is treating this one as string. So instead of that, you can use inner HTML. So what inner HTML will do is, it will consider both. It will consider this one as a HTML. So we can, using inner HTML, we can add both HTML tags as well as text. Now if I go and check, see, this is what serve our purpose. So keynote here is using inner HTML, we can add both HTML tags as well as content. Is that clear? Some people are saying, please slow down a bit. Okay, I will try to do that. So key thing here is, whenever you want to get some elements, get this element in JavaScript, get HTML element in JavaScript, we will be using document.getElement by ID, and we will be passing ID attribute. And once we get this reference, and if you want to change the content, we will use inner HTML. If we use inner HTML, it will treat the assigned value as HTML content, where we can add both HTML tags as well as text content. Instead of inner HTML, we can use text content as well. There, it will treat the assigned value as text. Inner HTML will consider the assigned value as HTML string, and text content will consider assigned value as text alone. If you ask me what is the difference, here you can clearly see this. If you add h1 tag with text content, it will take it as string only. But with inner HTML, it has changed. It will consider it as HTML. So, are you clear with get element by ID? We'll move to the next way, how we can access it. Okay. For that, what I will be doing is, it would be better. I will create new file. I will create single different HTML files. What I will say is, this one is, I will change this, rename y.id. I've already given the meaningful name to this HTML file. So first one I said it is by.id. I'll rename it to by ID. Next one is by name. From here, I'll just copy the script tag. So, for all elements or tags, we can add name attribute, right? Name tag attribute. Using name tag attribute also, we can get the elements. How, if you ask me, it is similar to get element by ID only. Let me show you the syntax. So here I have taken 3 input tags with name as first name. I will add few more as well. With different name or with nothing. Now, if my requirement is to get all elements with name attribute, means we can go for get elements by name. It is not only, now it is only input fields, right? For your understanding purpose, I will add one more div tag with same name. Name is equal to first name. Okay, Now I will do this way. Now in access element, we'll see how we can get elements by name. It is based on name attribute, where first name elements I will say. So we should say document dot get elements by name. Get elements by name. And in the bracket, we have to pass this property, name property, first name. And now we'll print this one. What I'll do is I will run this file first. Let me create here it is. Okay, I will create different JS files as well by ID. By name. Here I will change the path. And in by name, okay. Now we'll see. See, it has returned an array with 4 values. 3 values are input fields and 1 is div. These things are having name attribute value as first name. And we got everything over here. Now, if you ask me, with document dot get element by ID, we got only one, right? And with by name, we can get multiple elements. Why they have designed that way? Can anybody answer? Can anybody answer? At least say yes or no. At least say you don't know. Yes. Just answer to this question. In any HTML page, can we give same ID attribute value to other multiple elements or multiple tags? Is it possible? ID should be unique, right? ID should be unique. So if you take any HTML page, element with this ID value would be only single element alone. Always it is single element only. That's why they have designed in this way. When we do get element by ID, it always remembers single element. Okay, but name attribute is not like that. When we created radio box, at that time we gave same value for all radio boxes, right? All radio buttons or radio boxes. That's why what they have done is, if it is get element by ID, it always remember that it will return single object. Okay, it will return single object or null. Key point is, if it is get element by ID, single object. If nothing found means null. For other ways which I am teaching currently, it would be array of elements. Array of elements. Even though there is one element with this like property as first name, then also it would be a single array with one object, array with one data object. And if we don't find anything, then it will return empty array. Is that clear? Is that clear? That's why it is, you can see here, it is get elements. It is get elements. S means multiple things, right? And if you see here, get element, so single element. Always remember it, it provides array. Okay. So now we do have multiple things. And if I don't have we don't have any element with the name as n, right? So if I check now, it is empty array. It is empty array. Let's come back. Now we do have 4 elements, right? Out of which I want to focus on this one. This one. How can we do that if you ask me? See, since it is array, all array operations are possible. All array operations are possible. How can I get the first element? How can I get the first element? So if you check here, this is the first element, and this is the second element, and this is the third element, and this is the fourth element. Okay, and if I have to get the second element, means how I can get it? Using first index, array of 1, like that, array of 0, array of 2, array of 3, like that we can access. See, whenever I'm typing something here, you can see here on click of this is getting the focus. Do you agree? You can see it over here. There is extra border on this. Yes, right? What is this if you ask me? Whenever I am clicking on this or whenever I'm typing on this one, then it would be focused. Then it would be focused. Here it is manually focusing, right? What if as soon as I come to this page, I want my second input to be focused? How I can achieve that one if you ask me? Using focus method. Focus method. So there is a, in this object, element object, there is a property called, there is a behavior called focus. That method is responsible for making this element focused. Now what I'll do is I will take the second element and then I will call this method. Whenever we are calling the method, we should add the braces. Now if you go and check, see, second one got focused. And now if instead of 1, if I give second, you can see second means second index means third element will be focused. And if I say 3, then 0, 1, 2, 3. So third element is, you can see it is div element. That's why it is not getting focused. Focus property is applicable for input alone. That's why it is not doing. So instead of that, what you can do is we can go for 0. 0 is also not input. Okay. See, it got focused. Okay, that's, you understood why fourth one didn't get focused, because it is div element. That's why it didn't get focused. Is that clear? Or we can use by name. And similar to a name attribute, we do have one more thing called get elements by tag name. Tag name means for heading it is h1, for division tag it is div. So using that also we can get the elements. How, if you ask me, I will create a separate file for that by tag name .html, and I will create a, sorry, I'll change the extension. Now I'll create by tag name, and I will move this one here. I will add the JS file. It is by tag name. Okay. Now what I will do is, I will take the same code. Now I want to get all input fields. I will add some more fields also so that you will get a clarity. See, now I want to get all input fields. How many input fields are there? 1, 2, 3. Now we'll try to get it by tag name. What is the tag name of this? What is the tag name of this? It is input. Now same thing. Where input elements. I'll say, since one tag can appear multiple times in HTML, is that possible? Is that possible? Can multiple? Yes, it is possible. So that's why it will also gives an array only. So the method is get elements by tag name, and we have to pass input. Since we need input tag, then we can print console.log input elements. What I will do is, I will just open with live server. See, for the example purpose only, I am taking input fields over here. Instead of that, you can take whatever you need. Instead of input fields, you can go for divs, span elements, or select drop downs. Any tags you can take it. For the example purpose only, I am taking input here. Okay. Now we'll do the same thing. I want to focus second element. We'll do that. Input elements 0 dot, I'll say focus. It will focus it. We'll see. Wait, I will just refresh. See, it got focused. I'm refreshing it. And if I change it to 1, it will get focused. See, 1 got focused. And similar to this one, we do have one more method called get elements by class name. We can, using class name also, we can access it. Now just type what all the options available. As a meantime, I will create a file for class as well. Just type it in the chat. Type it in the chat. Like what are all the options available to access the HTML elements. So far, I've explained 3 things. Please ping here because it is very important. Meanwhile, I'll create a file for class 1. Can we apply same class? Can we apply same class to multiple HTML elements? Yes or no? Yes, it is possible. So I'm doing this way where I'm applying same class to multiple HTML elements. I will take some more as well with a different class. I'll say class 2, say class 3 also, it is fine. Now what I will do is, I will go to the by class name .js file. Here I'll say class 1 elements. Since we can apply same class to multiple elements, it is array only. Only get element by ID gives us single object. Other options gives us array. Okay. So we should pass the class attribute value. It is class 1. Now if I go and print it, how many it will print? How many it will print? 1, 2, 3. How many it will print? How many it will print? It is 3. Now we'll go see, it has printed 3. Okay. Now I want to focus this element. I'll just do that. Instead of that, I can add some inner HTML content as well. 1 second, I was showing the wrong file. See, paragraph, div, and h1 with this class 1, class 1, class 1. Now, what I will do is for this paragraph, I will add text content. It is paragraph, right? So I'll say text content. I'll say paragraph. See, it should be first element, right? So it is 0. Now, if you see, it got added. Now, for the second one, I will say, what is second one? It is div tag. I'll say division. Last one is heading. So I will say heading. See, it got added. Understood now? Any questions? Any questions? Yes, there are 4 ways. We do have other ways also. For that, I will come later. So there are 4 ways. First one is get element by ID. That will get the element by ID. We have to pass the ID. Then it will give us element object, and it would be single object. If the element is not found, for example, you're trying to find an element which is not present in the HTML page, then it will give null. Okay. And second option is get elements by name. So for that elements, we can add name attribute. We can get the elements by name value. We have to pass the what is the attribute value for name. Then we will get the list of elements, and we can access each element using array indexing 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. And if the elements are not found, then it will give empty array. Next thing is we can get the elements by tag name. Tag name like input, h1, paragraph like that. We can get it, and we can do the manipulation. First, we have to get the element using array indexing, and once we get the element using element object, we can do the manipulation. And the last one is get elements by class name. So we will be passing the class value, and we will be getting the elements, and it would be array. And if the elements are not found, then it would be empty array. Is that clear? Is that clear? Okay, I will give 5 minutes break now. I will give 5 minutes break. Just create one simple HTML file with all these things, ID, class and all, and try to access these elements using these 4 methods. Okay. explore yourself for 5 minutes. We'll exactly come back and start at 7:30. It's 8:30. 8:30. Can we start with other topics? I know 5 minutes will not be sufficient for you to try everything. I can understand that. At least if you remember, if somebody asks you what are all the options available, if you know this concept, it should be enough. And if you try it, then you will remember forever, right? For that reason only I told you to try it out. Please remember this concept because it is very important. Always remember, get element by id will give single object, and if the element is not found, what value it will give, it would give null. And for other things like by name, by tag name, and by class name, it would be array. And if elements not found, then it would be empty array. Okay. And there are css ways as well. For example, you can css selectors also. You can see using css selector also, you can find the elements. You know, right, how we can make use of css selectors. For example, if it is h1 tag, what would be the css selector? It is h1. Sorry, what I'll do is I'll create simple h1 tag over here. Simply I will give some random name just for your understanding purpose. I'll say class 1. And so in order to select h1, what we have to do, if it is we have to select it by h1 tag, then we should say h1. And if we want to select it by id, then it is ash h1 to 123. And if I want to access it using class 1, then it is dot. So these are the css selectors, right? These are the css selectors. Using this one also, we can select the elements. That is possible. And how it is possible, if you ask me, there are two methods: query selector and query selector all. First, we'll see what is query selector, and then we'll go for query selector all. What I'll do is, I'll create a simple HTML file and I will copy some content which is already present. Okay. So here I want to get all paragraphs. I know we can use using by tag name also we can achieve it. Let's see how can we achieve the same thing using query selector. So CSS ways. So using CSS selector, we can achieve the same thing. We'll say all paragraphs. And it is document dot query selector. And here we have to pass CSS selector. It can be P means tag name, hash ID if we specify it is ID selector, dot class if we specify it is class selector. So this one we can get, and if I log now, all paragraphs. Now if we go and check, we have not included this cssbase.js file in cssbase.html file. What I'll do is I will just add that script, fictional script. Okay, now if I go and check, see it has selected P. Now if you ask me, there are multiple paragraphs here. Why it has selected only one? If you ask me, we are using query selector. What query selector will do is, it will try to find out the first element that matches the selector. So here the first element is line number 12. So it will select it and it will give this value. Is that clear? Is that clear? And there is one more option called query selector all. This one I will change it to first paragraph. First paragraph. And this one, let it be all paragraphs. Okay. Now, if I just change it with all query selector all, then it will select everything. All 3 paragraphs. Okay, is that clear? Like what is the difference? And also now I'm using only tag selector. You can select, you can use ID selector as well. You can use class selector as well. Like whatever selectors we were using when I was delivering CSS content, right? Same selectors we can use it over here. Is that clear? Any doubts? And now what I will do is I will create some more tags. I'll create some more tags. Now this time I will add some class. I'll say input in, and then I will add div tag, and here I will say id is equal to div1. Now we'll see how we can access this using class selector as well as id selector. Tell me how we can do that. How can we do that? How can we do that? It is document.query selector. What I have to pass here? What I have to pass here? If I want to get this element, input element, instead of we can use it using, you can do it using class name as well, but get elements by class name as well. There is one more way. We just have to use the CSS selector. CSS selector for classes dot and then the name. I'll say all inputs with this class. Okay. And then we'll try to find out the div element as well. For div element, I've given the ID attribute, right? With what value? It is div1. So how can we add ID selector? Using hash. Using hash. And now if I print it, let's go and check. Let's go and check whether it is printing properly. So if you see it, it has selected this div, and you can see here it has selected with hash div1. So it is the place using hash div1 it has selected, and here you can see it is .in. So using class selector it has been selected, and here if you see it is paragraph. Using paragraph it has been selected, and the first one also it is single value and it is P selected by paragraph only. So using CSS selector also it is possible. You can make use of descendant selector, grouping selector, everything you can do. And you can, any CSS selector which we learned so far can be used over here. Okay. Now, when I was explaining using JavaScript, we can modify both content as well as we can change the color as well, right? I mean styles. We can change the color, size, background color. Everything can be changed using JavaScript, right? How it is possible, if you ask me, using style attribute present in this element object. Let's try to find this. What I'll do is, so we do have all paragraphs here, and I will try to find out the first one, and I will say style. So using style attribute, we can change any property. For example, I will say color. Color, I will set it to red for the first one. If you see here, see first one got changed its color. Now I will change the same thing with 1. For 1 also I will do this. So it got changed. And even for 2. Okay, it got changed over here. Now you might ask me, since we already know like what are all the like how many elements are present, we are using this way 0, 1, 2, like this we are doing. What if we don't know? What if we don't know like how many elements are present? Then what we can do is, since we know it is array, we can do the array manipulation. We can do array iteration, and then we can set each element's color. Okay, so we can do for array manipulation, which loop we will use? For in loop. I will say para in all paragraphs. So every time it would be pointing to first one, second one, like that. I will say style dot color. Here I will say blue. There are some problems. 1 second. Let me see why it is happening. I was using wrong thing because since it is array, we should use for off loop. That was the mistake, and I changed it and it started working. Is that clear? Or we can add a style to this. Now, as of now, I've added color only. If you want, you can explore more on this. We can change other styles as well, like font size, font family, everything we can change using this attribute. First, you have to get the style, and on top of that, you can do this one. It is like this, okay? So it would be var object, and then here, if you see, it is element objects. Wait, I will just give this name. Here, inner HTML will be there. Okay, inner HTML, and with some value. Inner content will be there with some value. And then next, if you see, style will be there. And in style, there will be multiple attributes. That's why it is one more object, or object within one more object. So here we will be having color. So if you want to change this color, then element object style dot color you have to do. Okay. This is just an example of how element looks like. Element object looks like. And there is one more important concept in JavaScript. I will explain. I will create one simple HTML file. There only I will add some script tag. I will say A is equal to 12 and B is equal to 13, and var sum is equal to A plus B. And I want to print the sum here down in the console or in the web page. Let's see how we can do that. I'll say this sum is, and then I will say plus or comma I will use, and then I'll say sum. And I will try to run this one. See, it is doing its job. The sum is 25. It is printing this way. Okay. But what if we don't want this concatenation? Instead of that, what I want is, say, now it is only sum, right? What I want to do is I want to print A plus B as well. I will say this sum is, I will say, wait. Instead of this, what I want is A plus B, sum is this one, like that I want to do. Then again, I have to add some more this one. Instead of this, okay, here it is stating it as number. I will add some extra concatenation. And then here we need this one. Say 12 plus 3, something like this I want. Say 12 plus 13, sum is 25. So this is the way I want. Okay. Now if you see, it is looking very ugly. We are doing multiple concatenation here. Instead of that, using one syntax, we can achieve it without this ugly code. How, if you ask me, do the same thing, console.log. Instead of using single quotes or double quotes, use backtick character. What is this backtick character means? If you are using your laptop, just above the tab, just beside one, there is backtick character like this. Within backtick character, you can add whatever you want in a single line. Okay, I'm using backtick character over here. I will achieve the same thing. Since it is variable name, what we have to do is we just have to include it in this syntax. It is dollar flower basis, and we have to mention the variable name, and then we have to say plus, and then since it is variable name, again dollar flower braces variable name and flower braces closes, and then what we want, sum is we have to print the sum variable. So it is dollar, again flower braces sum. So it is very simple. If it is normal string, just print it as it is, and if it is variable, replace it with dollar flower braces and the variable name. So this way, if we do, we can achieve the same thing. See, and also you can see here, this spaces and all, it has already considered. I don't have to give spaces like this. See, it has already taken care. Using backtick character, we can achieve this. Same thing we can do it with document write as well. See, 12 plus 13 sum is 25. Here we are not outcoding anything. All we are doing is in the JavaScript, we are initializing some variables and we are printing using document.print, and it is printing over here. Is it clear? Clear about the syntax? Any doubts? Okay, I will quickly recap. There are 4 ways to access the HTML elements. First one is get element by ID. Second one is what? Element by class name. And then elements by name. And then elements by tag name. Okay. And the another approach is using CSS selectors. Using CSS selector also, we can get the elements. And once we get the elements, using the properties, we can change the content as well as the style. We can change the HTML content as well as the CSS styling. Both are possible. Okay. And finally, we discussed about the syntax. If we have variables and string, and if you want to display it, Instead of going with this ugly syntax, what we can do is using backtick character, we can print it, and whenever it is variable, we should add dollar and flower braces. Is it clear? Please practice on these topics. Like I've not covered much today because these things are very, very important. Please practice more on this. Please practice more on this and get comfortable with this syntaxes and all. With this, you can like develop any real-time projects. Okay, this is very, very important. In the next upcoming sessions, like we will be covering projects, right? At that time, I will be using this functions. So there you should not get confused. Okay. So get elements by name uses name attribute value. What I will be doing is now I will end the session today. If you have any questions, you can ping me in chat. If you don't have any questions, we'll continue from tomorrow. Is that fine? Thank you so much for attending the session. Please ping in chat if you have any questions. Sorry for my voice and energy today. Since I'm not feeling well, I was not able to speak properly. Please ping your chats in the chat box. Any questions? Can you please wait? Project I might start from tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Maximum, yeah, from Wednesday. Wednesday I'll try to start. How long front end class? It would be there till Friday. This Friday, front end classes will be there. It would continue till Friday. Any other questions? But for backend classes, please contact ExcelR team. I'm not sure who will be handling backend for you people. Please check with ExcelR team regarding any backend um, rated questions. Somebody is asking how JavaScript can act as a backend language. We do have a server called Node.js server, and using that Node.js server, Node.js, we do have Node.js framework as well. Using that, you can use JavaScript to write backend logic. Start learning Node.js, then you should be able to create a backend script as well. Somebody is asking how to reduce code for CSS manipulate using JS code. It is always best practice to do the CSS part in the CSS, style.css file only, using CSS itself. Mostly, when do we need CSS manipulation using JavaScript, if you ask me? Whenever, say, you want to like make something bold, whenever, say for example, if you are submitting something to the backend, and once it is successful, you want to make some content in bold, you want to show some content in bold. At that time you can make use of it. You will rarely get those scenarios. And there is one more concept where you will be dynamically creating the elements. For example, in the HTML, as like till now what we learned is whatever is available in the HTML, those elements only we are trying to get it right. Next session, what I will be covering is how can we create HTML element. In the HTML body, it won't be there, but we will create it using JavaScript. At that time, we have to add styles and all. There it is required. Any other questions? Ma'am, we add classes using JS and style links using JS for same file. I didn't get your question, but using JavaScript, we can add CSS classes as well to the element. We can create a HTML element and we can add classes and all. Any other questions? Any other questions? If there are no questions, we'll end the session. We need not to include any style.css file for JavaScript file. So JavaScript also you will be including it in the HTML file, right? In the same HTML file, if you include some style.css, and in the JavaScript file, if you add the classes, then also it will work fine. So always remember, when you are including something, include it in the HTML file itself. Both styles and JavaScript files. Okay, if there are no questions, we'll end the session now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending the session. Thank you.
Tiruna?
Hello.
Yeah, Tiruna.